You know how we usually treat our mouths like a bathroom tile that just desperately needs to be bleached?
Oh, yeah. We just want to scrub it completely clean.
Exactly. We go in there with harsh bristles and those alcohol-based rinses that just
The
burn.
ones that really sting so you feel like they're working.
Right. We just try to obliterate everything. We want the mouth to be perfectly sterile. But looking at the latest research on the oral microbiome, that entire mindset might be completely backwards.
It's looking like a fundamentally flawed approach, yeah.
Yeah, what if your mouth is actually more like a garden that needs cultivating? Today, we are unpacking sources covering this massive paradigm shift in dentistry. Specifically, we're looking at excerpts from Cultivating the Oral Microbiome, The Rise of Dental Probiotics.
It's a fascinating piece of research.
It really is. And our mission for this deep dive is to find out if this whole ecological approach is just, another fleeting wellness trend, or if introducing bacteria into your mouth on purpose is actually the future of everyday dental care.
Well, for decades, the standard approach in oral hygiene has been entirely adversarial.
Like a war zone.
Exactly like a war zone. We've treated the mouth as a battleground where the only good bacterium is a dead bacterium. But the source material we are examining today makes a really compelling case that we need to stop looking at the mouth as this sterile cavern and start viewing it as a highly complex ecosystem.
Right, because there's a lot going on in there.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
You have hundreds of different bacterial species living in there at any given moment. And here's the kicker. The vast majority of them are actually highly beneficial.
Okay, so if we are going to treat the mouth like a garden, we have to understand the soil first.
Right.
The research points out that the problems we usually associate with bad dental health, persistent bad breath, plaque buildup, bleeding gums, tooth decay, they don't normally happen because some foreign evil pathogen suddenly invaded.
No, they usually happen because of a condition called oral dysbiosis.
Oral dysbiosis. Okay, let's unpack that.
So oral dysbiosis is essentially a catastrophic loss of balance.
Like the ecosystem crashes.
Pretty much. The microbes that are responsible for plaque or bad breath are often already present in a perfectly healthy mouth.
Wait, really? They're already there?
Yeah, they're native, but they exist in these tiny, manageable numbers. They are kept in check by the beneficial bacteria fighting for the exact same real estate nutrients. But when that balance tips, those opportunistic, problematic microbes, they just multiply excessively.
Wait, let me pause right there. Because if dysbiosis is just a loss of balance and the whole goal is to keep those populations in check, doesn't that mean my daily routine of using a mouthwash that proudly claims to, kill 99.9% of germs is actually clear-cutting the good guys, too?
That is the fundamental flaw of the scorched earth approach to preventative dentistry.
Wow. Okay.
When you use a highly aggressive, broad-spectrum antimicrobial rinse, you are literally dropping a bomb on the entire ecosystem.
Right.
You are wiping out the sulfur-producing bacteria that cause bad breath, sure, but you are also wiping out the beneficial bacteria that naturally suppress them.
So I am basically using a flamethrower on my garden to get rid of a few dandelions and then wondering why the soil is completely dead.
That's a perfect analogy. And nature abhors a vacuum. When you clear-cut that microscopic forest, the environment doesn't just stay sterile.
Because it's not a closed loop.
Right. The mouth is an open cavity. You are breathing in microbes constantly, you're eating food, drinking liquids, and the fastest-growing, most aggressive microbes are usually the ones that cause issues.
The weeds, basically.
Exactly, the weeds. They recolonize that empty space far faster than the beneficial, slow-growing bacteria can ever reestablish themselves.
So the bad breath or the plaque just comes back faster and stronger.
Which creates a vicious cycle. You experience the inflammation and irritation of dysbiosis, so you use more harsh chemicals to nuke the mouth again.
Which just resets the cycle all over again.
Precisely. Modern dental science is recognizing that permanently sterilizing the mouth is just a biological impossibility. The new objective is restoring and maintaining a healthy, competitive balance.
Okay, so if I stop using the chemical flamethrower, my garden is kind of just sitting there empty for a bit. How do I actually get the good guys to move back in before the weeds take over?
And this is where the source introduces the mechanics of oral probiotics.
Right. And I want to get really specific here because when most people hear the word probiotic, they immediately think of gut health.
Sure. Digestion.
Yeah, digestion, yogurt, taking a little capsule that goes straight to the stomach.
Well, the environment of the mouth is radically different from the environment of your digestive tract.
How so?
The gut is dark, it's highly acidic, and it's lined with soft tissue. But the mouth is exposed to the air, It has completely fluctuating temperatures depending on whether you, say, just drank hot coffee or ate a bowl of ice cream.
Oh, that makes sense.
It has a relatively neutral pH, and crucially, it features both soft tissues like your tongue and gums and hard, non-shedding surfaces, your teeth.
The only exposed bones in the body?
Exactly. So a microbe that thrives in the extreme acidity of the stomach is not going to survive on the hard enamel of a molar.
It wouldn't stand a
Now,
chance.
the oral probiotics detailed in these studies are live, beneficial microorganisms formulated with strains specifically native to the mouth. They are specifically designed to interact directly with those tissues.
But mechanically, how does that actually work? Because if my mouth is constantly producing a river of saliva, and I'm drinking water, chewing food, and swallowing all day long, how does a probiotic bacteria actually move in? Doesn't it just get washed down the hatch immediately?
That is exactly why the delivery method is so critical. And it's why a standard probiotic capsule that you just swallow whole does absolutely nothing for your oral microbiome.
Because it just bypasses the mouth entirely.
Right. For an oral probiotic to work, it requires sustained contact time.
Okay, sustained contact.
This is usually achieved through a lozenge that slowly melts in your mouth, or a chewable tablet that mixes with your saliva. This gives the specific bacterial strains the time they need to adhere to the mucosal surfaces of your gums and the biofilm on your teeth.
So they literally have to stick to the surfaces before they get washed away.
Exactly.
And once they manage to stick and set up shop, the source says their primary function is something called competitive exclusion, which honestly sounds like a real estate term.
It is essentially microscopic real estate.
Okay, I like that.
Competitive exclusion operates on a few different levels. First, there's just physical space. If every microscopic binding site on your tooth enamel or your gum line is already occupied by a beneficial bacterium, there is physically nowhere for a harmful, plaque-forming pathogen to attach.
So there are literally no parking spots left.
Zero parking spots. They just get washed away. But goes much deeper than just taking up space. They also compete for resources.
So they're actively starving the bad guys?
Yes, they are consuming the specific amino acids and nutrients that the harmful bacteria need to survive. Take bad breath, for example.
A classic morning breath.
Right. The persistent, unpleasant odor is caused by specific bacteria breaking down proteins in your mouth and releasing volatile sulfur compounds.
And the sulfur is what smells like rotten eggs, right?
Correct. By introducing specific oral probiotic strains that aggressively consume those same precursor proteins, but crucially, without releasing sulfur as a byproduct, you literally starve the odor-producing bacteria out of existence.
Wow.
You are fundamentally changing the chemistry of the ecosystem.
See, changing the chemistry sounds great in theory. It makes complete logical sense. But let's look at what the actual science says about the tangible benefits, because the source material gets a little murky here.
It does get a bit nuanced.
Yeah, it notes that interest has surged over the past decade, and there are, several systematic reviews and meta-analyses backing up these claims.
Pointing to reductions in cavity-associated bacteria.
Right, and healthier gum tissues, fresher breath.
Yeah.
And my radar immediately goes up here. It also includes a massive caveat. It says the evidence, quote, varies heavily, depending on the specific strains used, the dosage, the study design, and that more high-quality, long-term clinical trials are still needed. Whenever I read that a wellness product's evidence varies, I usually assume it's snake oil.
Yeah.
So how much of this is scientifically proven right now, and how much is just hopeful thinking?
It is a completely valid reaction to be skeptical when you see phrases like more trials needed. But we have to look at why the evidence varies.
Oh, okay, why?
We are accustomed to testing simple chemical compounds, like an aspirin. If you test a painkiller, you know the exact milligram count, and you know exactly which chemical receptor it binds to in the brain. It does the exact same thing in a lab every single time.
Right, a chemical is a chemical.
But an oral probiotic is a population of living creatures. Testing a live ecosystem is exponentially more difficult to standardize. The effectiveness isn't just about the general species of bacteria. It comes down to the highly specific genetic subtype.
Oh, that's tricky here.
Very. Furthermore, you have to ensure those bacteria survive the manufacturing process, the shipping, and the storage. If a warehouse gets too hot, the product degrades.
So a trial might fail, not because the concept of competitive exclusion is wrong, but because the specific lozenge they used in the study had dead bacteria by the time the patient took it.
Exactly. Or the patient chewed the lozenge and swallowed it immediately, completely bypassing the necessary contact time we just talked about.
They just chewed it like candy.
Right. There is also the variable of the individual's baseline microbiome. If you have severe dysbiosis, introducing a probiotic might show a massive, statistically significant improvement.
It's night and day.
But if someone else has a relatively healthy mouth, the same probiotic might just maintain the status quo, which registers in a clinical trial as no significant change.
Oh, so the baseline completely changes the outcome of the study.
It does. The foundational biological science of competitive exclusion is incredibly robust and well proven. But the specific clinical outcomes for every commercial product on the shelf, that varies wildly based on quality and application. The science indicates these are highly effective supportive tools, but they are not magic cures.
Which actually brings up a really critical point from the sources, so no one listening makes a disastrous dental mistake. There is this huge misconception that if you just populate your mouth with good bacteria, you don't need to do anything else.
Oh, no.
Definitely. Yeah, the research is completely unequivocal. Oral probiotics cannot and do not replace brushing and flossing. They are an adjunct.
They are designed to work alongside proven habits, not instead of them. If you abandon the mechanical act of brushing, the biofilm on your teeth will just grow too thick for any probiotic to penetrate or manage. The standard American approach to preventive dental care remains absolutely non-negotiable.
The source outlines those basics clearly. Brush for 2 minutes twice a day, floss every day, clean your tongue, limit sugary snacks, stay hydrated, and eat a balanced diet.
Yep.
But looking at those standard rules through the ecological lens we've been discussing actually makes them way more interesting to me. Take limiting sugar, for instance. I've always just thought of sugar as bad for teeth in a really vague, general way.
Right, like it just causes cavities somehow. But if we look at the actual mechanism, sugar is the absolute preferred food source for a specific bacteria called Streptococcus mutans.
S mutants.
Yes. When S mutans consume sugar, it rapidly ferments it and excretes lactic acid as a byproduct. That acid drops the local pH of your mouth and actively demineralizes or dissolves your tooth enamel.
So eating a candy bar is essentially throwing high-grade fertilizer onto the most destructive weeds in the garden.
That is exactly what it's doing. And conversely, staying hydrated isn't just about general wellness either.
It's not just about getting your 8 glasses a day.
No, a steady flow of saliva is your mouth's primary defense system. Saliva is supersaturated with calcium and phosphate, which remineralizes the enamel after those acid attacks. It also physically washes away unattached bacteria.
Wow.
If you are chronically dehydrated, say, from drinking too much coffee and not enough water,
Yeah.
you are creating a microscopic drought.
The river dries up.
The river stops flowing, the acid concentrates,
Yeah.
and the beneficial probiotics you just took will likely die off in that hostile environment.
So if we synthesize all this, think of brushing, flossing, hydration, and a good diet as the foundation and the walls of a house.
Okay.
And the oral probiotic is like a state-of-the-art security system you add on top of it. The security system is amazing. It can monitor the perimeter, keep out the bad guys, and stop a problem before it starts. But you can't just slap a security camera on an empty dirt lot and expect to be protected from a storm.
Right.
You have to actually build the house first with daily habits.
That makes perfect sense. And once you have that foundation built, the source notes that consumers need to be savvy about which security system they choose. You can't just grab a generic digestive probiotic off the shelf at the grocery store.
Because it's meant for the gut.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The research highlights that effective products use strains specifically intended for oral use, and they require clear ingredient labeling and high manufacturing standards.
Actually, the text highlights a specific product example to illustrate this modern approach. Adem Naturals ProvaDent. And what is interesting about how this specific supplement is formulated is that it doesn't just, dump live bacteria into the mouth.
Right.
It combines the oral probiotics with nutrient-rich ingredients designed to support the mouth's natural defenses.
Which aligns perfectly with the ecological paradigm. Those nutrient-rich ingredients are essentially acting as prebiotics.
They feed the good guys.
Exactly. You aren't just introducing the beneficial bacteria, you are simultaneously providing the specific environment and food sources they need to thrive once they adhere to the tissues. It is a comprehensive approach to maintaining the environment meant to be used after you've mechanically cleaned the teeth with a toothbrush.
The source mentions that this specific adjunct approach is highly appealing for people dealing with recurring bad breath, people looking for extra support for healthy gums, or just anyone who prefers preventive wellness over reactionary treatments.
Though we should explicitly state that anyone experiencing acute dental pain, bleeding gums, or severe issues needs to see a professional dentist immediately.
Right, yeah.
A probiotic is a preventive tool for cultivating an ecosystem. It is not an antibiotic treatment for an active severe infection.
Exactly. You don't plant a garden while the yard is actively on fire.
Right.
So pulling all these sources together, what does this actually mean for you, the listener? We started by asking if the mouth is a bathroom tile or a garden, and the evidence heavily favors the garden.
The future of everyday dental care is shifting away from the impossible goal of chemical sterility. We are finally moving past the era of microscopic clear-cutting.
Which is a relief.
Truly.
Yeah.
The science tells us that optimal oral health comes from a comprehensive ecological approach. You maintain the structural foundation with brushing and flossing, and you actively cultivate the microbial balance with targeted tools like oral probiotics.
It really reframes something as mundane as brushing your teeth into the act of managing a delicate living ecosystem. Which brings me to a final thought I want to leave you with today. We've spent this entire deep dive talking about how adding specific probiotics or changing your toothpaste can alter this environment.
Yeah.
But if your mouth is truly a living, constantly shifting ecosystem, think about the sheer variety of inputs it experiences every single day without you even realizing it.
Oh, absolutely.
Every time you eat a piece of fermented food like kimchi or yogurt, you are introducing new strains. Every time you choose a fibrous apple that mechanically scrubs the teeth over a processed carbohydrate that feeds the acid-producing bacteria, you are altering the balance.
Changing the soil.
Exactly. Even the people you share your life with, every time you share a fork or take a sip from a partner's water glass or share a kiss, you are actively swapping microbial populations.
You are introducing new variables, new resources, and new competitors into the environment.
It really makes you realize that you aren't just cleaning a biological surface twice a day. You are the full-time caretaker of an incredibly complex, invisible world. Choose your seeds wisely.